Hey, you guys, it's Sarah here, and welcome to my channel. We are a few days away from Christmas, and if you are like me, you are still working on getting gifts for the children in your lives. I am making this Three Little Pigs action book, Little Busy book. It comes with the three little pigs, the finger puppets, and the big bad wolf, and he's got that huffing and puffing cloud, so little kids can physically play with the pieces and go through the story as the story is being read to them and do all the actions of all the houses like the pigs can go inside of. They kind of have these openings. There's the big there's the solid brick house with the door, and then there's the chimney for the big bad wolf to go down. So it's a really quick, really easy book to put together. It takes an hour to do all the cutting time and then the assembly time, and you're done. And I don't know if my little nieces and nephews have ever actually been read the real story of the Three Little Pigs, so I'm also getting them the actual book with the busy book, and that will be the full gift. So I'm really excited to give it to them, and I really think their parents are gonna love it. And I've still got 2 more copies of this book that I need to make, plus another bunch of stuff that I've got to do, so let's get started. As always, I am starting out with 8" by 8" sheets of felt, and I'm using my nice 1.2mm Korean felt. You're gonna take your cutout of your yellow straw house, and then we have a background of brown, and we're just going to line those up together. And excuse me if you see lots of loose little white threads everywhere. I've always got threads on my clothes. Everywhere I go, there are threads attached to me because I'm just sewing all the time. But we're just going to lay down that brown and yellow piece and sew around the border. And then I'm going to take these 3 posts that I have. They're not all the exact same size. One is a bit bigger and it's going to go in the middle. And then you have 2 smaller ones, and I get them mixed up where they're supposed to go, but they should line up pretty nicely with just the outline of the edges there. It looks like this one goes here. The biggest one goes in the middle, and then the little one goes at the back. And then I'm going to hot glue those down, and then I'm going to hot glue on top of them this straw roof. With those glued on, that's actually it for the straw house page. So you can see, because we hot glued and didn't sew those pieces on, everything is still opened up so little piggies can go inside. Next, let's go ahead and grab another sheet of 8" by 8" felt, and we're going to do the house made out of logs or out of sticks. So I've got this black triangle. I'm going to just sew that down around the border, and then I have 3 logs or sticks. I'm going to sew 2 of them down. 2 of them are the exact same size. I'm going to sew them down like this, but I'm only going to sew around the top and the outer edge. I'll leave the inner edge unsewn just so that it's open a little bit, so that again the little piggies can be kind of tucked in. And then same with this bigger log for the bottom piece. What I'll do is I'll just go ahead and sew at the sides and then the bottom, and then that way when I do have the little piggies sewn, they can just kind of sit inside and tuck themselves behind those logs in their log house. And that's everything for the log house. You can see there is some overlap on the pages. I do that purposefully just because I like that kind of 3-dimensional look. And I just wanted it to be nice and big so that little hands can actually really fit the finger puppets inside everything and actually play with the book. So that finishes off the second page. Let's do the third page. The third page is going to be the first part of the brick house. So I'm going to grab another 8" by 8" sheet of felt. We have this red house cut out. And I'm going to start with taking this gray door, and I'm just going to sew it down on one side, overlapping this red edge so that the door can open and close. And you'll notice I've lifted it just a little bit above from the bottom, just because when I do the final, like attaching all the pages together, and I'm sewing around the border, I don't want to accidentally sew down this door at the bottom. Now that that's sewn on, I'm going to go ahead and sew around the whole border of the house, but I also have this gray rooftop piece, so I'm going to overlap it just a little bit, the bottom part overlapping on the red, so that all at once I can just go ahead and sew all around the border. I'll attach the gray roof as I'm sewing the red top down. So I'll just go ahead and sew around that whole border, and then I'm going to do another stitch just at the top of the roof so that that is sewn down as well. And then the last little bit for this page is I'm just going to hot glue on this little black door handle onto the door. And then that completes the third page, or the first part of the brick house. Let's go ahead and grab another sheet of 8" by 8" felt, and let's do the second part of the brick house, which is the chimney. And of course we want to make it so that the wolf can actually go down the chimney. So I have this large red rectangle piece, and the way it will look is these two pages will be side by side. So you kind of want it to look like this is just a continuation of the house. So this is the entrance of the house, and this is just a second part of the house. So I kind of want to have these roof lines line up with this gray rectangle here next to this roof line. So I'm going to just sew around this whole border, and I'll overlap this gray piece over the red a little bit. So I'll sew around the border, and I'll sew around the gray, sew down the top gray rooftop part. Now that that's all sewn down, I'm going to take this other piece with this fireplace cutout. I'm just going to overlap it and lay it right in the middle, and I'm just going to sew along the two sides. Okay, you can see that's stitched along the side, so it's still open so that the big bad wolf can fit down the chimney. And then we have another couple of gray pieces. We have this gray top that's going to just be hot glued right at the top of the chimney. And then this as well, I'm just going to glue it right over the outline of the chimney so that it really stands out. Okay, next what I'm going to do is I'm going to take this red piece of fire, this orange piece, which I just cut this out by hand just because it's such a small, easy piece to cut. And I didn't have anything else orange in this template, so I didn't want to use up a whole felt sheet just to cut out these little orange pieces. So that was just cut with scrap felt. And then I have a little yellow one as well. That's a part of the template. I'm just going to hot glue all of those down, and I'm going to tuck the top of the red flame underneath the fire a little bit because I just want to make sure I have enough room, because I'm going to sew down this big pot as well. So I'm going to lift the flame up a little bit just so that you can actually see all three colors. I'll go ahead and just hot glue those down. You could sew them down if you wanted to. I prefer to just hot glue them down. Okay, that flame is glued down, and now I'll sew around the border of this pot. You'll see it fits right inside of the opening of the chimney, so it's not going to affect the opening at all. And I'm just going to sew around the border, but I'll leave the top open. And that completes the two red brick house pages, along with the chimney and the pot of hot water that is boiling there for the big bad wolf. And then next we are going to take our 6 cutouts of our little pigs, and I'm just going to sew 2 copies of each of them together just around their borders, leaving the bottoms open so that they can act as finger puppets. I'm going to do the same thing with the gray cutout of the big bad wolf. Sew the border together, leaving the bottom open, and then you'll see there's a little tail here as well. I'm just going to tuck that tail in between the front and back layer so that that will get sewed in place when I'm sewing around the border. Next, I'm going to hot glue on their eyes, and with the wolf we also have this white cutout. I'm going to hot glue that on. The edges of it do overlap, so you don't need to hot glue right at the 2 ends there. Go ahead and sew on these, or a hot glue on these white eyes on each of them, and then the little black parts of the eyes as well can just be hot glued right in there. And then for the big bad wolf as well, one of these, you'll notice there's an extra black circle that is for the nose. So it's the same size as the eye, but it'll just go on the nose of the big bad wolf. And then I'm also going to take a pink and black paint marker, and I'm going to use my pink paint marker to just color on the noses of the 3 little pigs. And then I will use a black one to just quickly draw on 2 little nostrils on each of the piggies. And then we also have, I'm going to do 2 copies of this Huffing and Puffing to Blow the Houses Down. I have 2 copies of them. I'm going to hot glue them together. And then I have some little Velcro dots, and I'm going to use the self-adhesive little Velcro dots. This is what they look like. I'm using some that are just really small. I'll put the link for them down below in the description of this video. I'm going to put the softer Velcro on the actual wolf. There's like a rougher side to the Velcro, and then there's the softer side. I'm going to put the softer side onto the hand of the big bad wolf, because when he is not huffing and puffing to blow the house down, when he is going down the chimney, I don't want the like rougher piece of Velcro to get caught on the felt and to stick to it by mistake. So by putting the softer piece on the wolf, that'll help with that. Then there is the other side of the Velcro. That side I'm going to hot glue onto this gust of wind. And so that way, when the big bad wolf comes along and he starts his huffing and puffing to cause trouble and blow everyone's house down, little kids can just attach it there. And then that shows that he's huffing and puffing away. And then they can remove it when he's not huffing and puffing, when he's doing other bad stuff. So those are the little finger puppets. The next thing, the last page we're going to do is just the cover page. So I have this green rectangle, and I used my scalloped edge scissors. This is what they look like. I'll leave the link for them below in the description. I used them to just cut by hand the top. And oops, sorry, I just hit my phone there. I'm just going to clip that in place for now. I'm not going to sew it down. There is no template for this green piece. I just cut them out by hand just because they're so easy to cut out by hand, and I didn't want to use a whole sheet of felt to do it. So especially when I'm only making 2 copies of this at a time. And then I do have some letters. These are not included in the template, but I have cut these out. So this is probably the most time-consuming part of this, of any of the pages, is just getting the letters out. I have the letters of the 3 Little Pigs busy book. I have one finished already, so this is what it will look like. So they look really cute, and I really want to have it on the front page. Okay, I've now got all the letters hot glued on, with the exception of this little S at the end of pigs, just because I'm running out of a little bit of room here for when I stitch around the border, and I don't want to hot glue it down and then have to stitch over the S. So I'll just wait until I've done the stitch first, and then I'll hot glue that final S on. But now that that's done, I can actually put together the book. So the first page, this will be the title page, and then on the back of that, I'm going to have the straw house. So I'm going to get my clips and clip all of those corners in place. And then on the inside, between the front and the back sheet, I have my sheets of binding pieces. They're just 2 or 3 millimeter sheets of felt that I cut out by hand using my scalloped edge scissors. And they just work really well for binding pieces. And then I have my little business logo with my name on it, tag that says Made in Canada. So because this is the front page, I'll sew that in as well. So I'm going to sew around that border. And then the next page will be, so when kids open it up, they'll then see the straw house, they'll see the log house. And on the other side of the log house, I'm going to put this, the first part of the red brick house. So again, I'll clip at the 4 corners for the log house and the brick house on the other side. Just make sure you have both pages facing the right way. I've done it before where I've accidentally sewed one upside down, and then I flip the page and I realize, oh, that's upside down and that's not good. So those are together, and I'll insert a binding piece here, and I'm going to sew around that whole border. So that'll be that page, and then the last page will just be the fireplace. And I'm just going to use another blank sheet of 8" by 8" felt. If you happen to have a really cute, like little piggy themed fabric, that would be really cute to wrap around the back side. I don't, so I'm just going to use a plain sheet of that light blue Korean felt. Okay, I've got those all sewn together. Let's go ahead and hot glue on that S now that I have that sewn. And then after that, the last thing I need to do is get my heavy duty hole punch. And I'm going to hole punch some holes in all the binding pieces. I'm just going to grab each of the binding pieces here and hole punch them. This hole punch has gone through, I think at this point, thousands of Busy Book pages, so it isn't as sharp as it used to be when doing the holes. It doesn't actually cut all the way through. I have to get my scissors and cut off the last little bit of the holes. And then here are the binder rings that I use to connect the pages. And here we have it. That is the completed little three little pigs busy book. So you can take the little piggies, you can tell the story, and as they can each go and build their own little houses and go inside of their little houses. One of them builds the house of straw, one of them builds the house out of logs, one of them builds a house out of bricks. The wise one builds the house out of bricks. The big bad wolf comes along, he huffs and he puffs and he blows away the straw house, so the little piggy has to run away and retreat into the stick house with his brother. And then the big bad wolf comes and huffs and puffs and blows them and their house over, so they run away and they retreat into the brick house. So all three can fit inside there. There's lots of space there. And the big bad wolf comes and huffs and puffs and tries to blow it down. Doesn't work because it's a well-built house on a solid foundation. So he tries doing like Santa and going through the chimney, but this guy does not belong in the chimney. So when he comes down, he lands in that pot of boiling water, and he runs away crying, as he should, because he was being so bad. Okay, thanks so much, you guys, for watching this video, and make sure you like and subscribe to this channel if you're enjoying these videos, and send me some pictures if you do decide to make this, whether you're making it as a gift for Christmas or for your own child, or whether you're selling it. I'm doing both, so I'd love to see though how yours turn out. And yeah, thank you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video. And really quickly, for those of you who stuck around and are interested maybe on my Patreon or considering checking out this template on my Patreon, this is the template that you get. You get these 7 templates, and they're all meant to fit on a 12-inch by 12-inch sheet of felt. You'll get them all in black and white JPEG and SVG files, and you just save them and then upload them to whatever design software that you use, and you adjust them to the size that I have written in the captions of the photos. So I'll just quickly explain how I make them in bulk. However, as always, if you did just want to make a single copy of this activity page or a single copy of any of my pages, you just have to delete the extra copies. So we'll start off with this black one. As you can see, this will give you all the little black eyes and the nose. It'll give you the two door handles, 2 cauldrons, and 2 backgrounds of the log house. So this whole black template here cuts enough for 2 sets, if you're assuming you're making 2 sets of this book. This one here is the brown logs and the brown background to the straw house, and so you need to do 2 of those cuts. So you need 2 sheets of brown felt if you're going to make 2 copies of this book. If you do this pink piggy cut, that will give you enough for 6 little piggies, which is enough for 2 copies of the book. This yellow template here will give you enough for 1 copy of the little yellow fire piece and then all the pieces for the straw house. So again, if you're making 2 copies, you need 2 sheets of yellow felt. Same with this one, you'll need 2 sheets of red felt if you're making 2 copies. So it gives you the pieces for the brick house as well as 1 piece for the fireplace. And obviously, if you're only making 1 copy, you just need to do that 1 cut. And then for this one as well, just one cut gives you enough for 1 copy of all of the brick house gray pieces and then the gray big bad wolf. The only exception, like everything either gives you cuts out sets of 1 or 2. The only exception is this one here, the white pieces. I filled that template up really good, and that cuts enough for 6 sets. So you'll see 6 sets of the little huff and puff cloud you'll see 6 sets of the wolf, the white wolf face. And then there's enough white circles in there. Those are the eyes for the little piggies and the wolf. And those cut enough to do 6 sets. So when I make this, I just hold on to those extra pieces because I've already made 4 of these books and I want to make more, and I'm going to continue to either sell them or give them away as gifts. So I just hold on to those extra pieces because I know they're going to get used. Okay, thanks so much, you guys, and let me know if you've got any questions, and I'll see you in the next one.